Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the GT Show, and today I'm in a really weird kind of space right now. I'm in New York City. I have just left the offices of Vaynermedia, where I got to see the machine work. I got to see not only the machine that is Vaynermedia, it's the largest digital agency in the world, 600 staff. When I say agency, like an advertising agency, like the old school things, Mad Men and all of that, but with new media, with digital, with Facebook, with online media, news stuff, and he's grown this thing in the last few years. So the machine, I get to see firsthand in the trenches, Vaynermedia as a machine. But when I also say got to see how the machine works and the machine ticks, I mean the machine that is Gary Vaynerchuk. Hands down the best marketer on the planet today because of his mastery not only of traditional marketing principles and concepts, but of using the new media to apply those skills. I tell you, he is hands down the best. What's amazing about Gary is he's self-taught. As many of you guys know, I'm taught by mentors like Gary and many others. I learn from others, tweak it, test it, make sure it works, and then share it up to you guys. He hasn't learned from anyone. He's proud of the fact that everything he's done has been from hands-on experience, and he'll even admit a relatively inefficient way to get there, but because of that uniqueness, he brings to us a very, very unique character, a unique training, and a unique perspective on how this marketing world in the new economy, in today's world, works. So today, let's start off. I wanted to just start off this Gary Vaynerchuk tribute show by throwing to the interview where I got to meet the man, I got to hang out with him, I got to ask him a few questions. Let's have a look. Let's just have a quick look at the get to know Gary part of my little experience today. Let me throw to that.
This guy doesn't need any introduction.
Actually, from down under, I probably
maybe do. Well, let me give you some context.
For America, I do. This is the crazy thing about the world. Like, as big as your brand could be, it's amazing how many. I go to like New Jersey, New York social media wine conferences, and I'm like, how many of you don't know me? And like, people put up hands.
Wow.
I'm like, you're never going to win this game.
Crazy.
Yeah?
Well, for you guys who know me, if you could ever meet someone that everything you think you over-deliver on, if you think you're enthusiastic, if you think you're a half-decent marketer, if everything you pride yourself on being adequate at, someone is better at it, at all of them than you, then this is this guy for me. You're like everything I want to be good at.
That's very nice. Thank you.
So most of me just loves this guy, Gary Vaynerchuk. Then there's a little bit of me, because he's so good at everything I want to be good at.
I get it. That's very nice.
Oh,
Thank you.
man, so bud.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming down, man.
Your accent's way better than mine.
That's all I got. That's it.
I'm sure you have plenty of. By the way, I think I stink at 99% of things, so I'm sure there's a lot of things you got. So thank you, Dan.
Wow. So, guys, in my opinion, I've been quoted as saying, and I absolutely hands down believe it, that the absolute 100% best marketer on the planet right now. In my opinion, it used to be Dan Kennedy in Ye Olde Worldy. I believe Dan Kennedy needs to take off the strap. He's dropped it to you. So, folks,
Thank you.
Gary Vaynerchuk. Thank you, my man.
Hey, everybody. Hi.
So, mate,
Yes.
for those who may not know
Yes.
Gary V in our crew,
What's
give
the
us
backstory?
give us the backstory and the
I'll go
kind
fast.
of the
I'll go fast because I know we don't have as much time as we had hoped, and I appreciate you schlepping. Russian immigrant, born in Belarus, came to the U.S., super poor, studio apartment, 8 family members, classic American dream story based on the back of my parents. My dad worked every minute of his life, basically, since then, 1978. He got a job as a stock boy in a liquor store in New Jersey, eventually became the manager. We moved to Edison, New Jersey, which was near the store. He worked every hour. I didn't see my dad basically the first 14 years of my life. I was very entrepreneurial, selling flowers, selling lemonade, baseball cards, which is a big thing in America when I was a teenager. When I turned 14, my dad dragged me into the business. I hated it the first couple of years, but at 16, I realized people collected wine. I came from collecting things. I made that connection. I decided I was going to open up 4,000 wine liquor stores in America, sell them, and buy the New York Jets, right? Thank you for the rugby swag. By the way, when I was in the wine business, I went to Australia a bunch, and I went to a Collingwood footy.
Collingwood, the Collingwood fans will be going nuts right now.
Playoff game. It was the best. Anyway, fell in love with the wine business, wanted to be in the wine business, and then found the internet when I was 18, 1994, launched one of the first e-commerce wine businesses in America, in 1996, which, one of the three first. So
and everyone laughed. They would say, well, yeah, you're going to sell wine on the internet.
in the same way, look, we're all old enough, maybe not you, Zach, old enough to remember like a world without the internet. And so people, the way now that people tell me, no, I don't think Snapchat's going to be big, or when they told me they didn't think Twitter or Facebook was going to be big years ago, or YouTube, which changed my career, we'll get to that in a minute, that's what they said about the internet. Everybody thought this was a fad. And listen, people that write copy for magazines thought the internet was a fad.
Yeah, that's right. How's that looking?
So, launched it, didn't do well at like first 2 years because I was still at college, no ROI. The first year I ran the business, I grew from 3 to 10 million in revenue on the floor in the store and a little bit on email. Used email, banner ads. I owned the word wine on Google for 5 cents a click in the beginning. And then my career completely changed in 2006. YouTube came out. I thought it was going to be huge. I started a wine show. I didn't know at 30, remember, I built a business from 3 to 40 million at that point, and I didn't know that I was a personality or I had shtick or I could do this, but I knew I wanted to do a show on YouTube. If you go watch the first one, which you can link up, I'm not this. I was scared to show my real personality because I didn't want to lose wine customers. It was a whole new world. It clicked, it popped. I used Twitter and Facebook to build that show. I realized that I was really a great marketer. And so I decided to invest in the next thing that I believed in. That ended up being Twitter. Then I invested in Tumblr. Then I invested in Facebook. So I made a lot of money investing. It's led to a big venture capital career for me. 6 years ago, I started this company on the backbone of everybody reaching out to me because I amassed 1 million followers on Twitter. I was the new wave marketer. I kind of had my coming out party. And I started Vaynermedia, which if you want to do some B-roll, knock yourself out. We have 3 floors, so walk you around. Which is now a 600-person firm. New York, LA, San Francisco, opening up London, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Sydney and Singapore on the radar for 17 and 18.
Nice.
Fun to see Zach say, "Oh my God," because only in the 2 or 3 years he's been working with me, it's gone from 30 to 600 people, from 3 to 100 million in revenue.
Yeah.
And this is 100 million not by doing a landing page optimization. This is 100 million not by doing a mastermind and a lot of money top line. This is competing against the best advertising agencies in the world because we have clients like Anheuser-Busch InBev, Johnson & Johnson's, Pepsi. This is a world that I came with no experience with, no knowledge with, and went to Madison Avenue using my Silicon Valley DNA and my Russian Jersey hustle DNA and grew one of the fastest building agencies while in parallel maintaining my public speaking career, writing what's about to become my 4th New York Times best-selling book, putting out 181 episodes of the Ask Gary V show on YouTube and podcast, starting a reality show in essence called Daily V. I feel very in my prime as a 40-year-old marketer. I feel like my ambition to buy the New York Jets still feels very obtainable, even though it's a $2 to $3 billion asset and it's growing faster than I'm growing. I still think I end up catching it and passing it. And so went on to invest in Uber and in Birchbox and in Buddy Media, where I made a huge exit. So I've had a very, very good career as a merchant operating retailer, as an operating CEO of an agency, as an investor, as somebody who's built personal brand, who very honestly, a lot of the marketers I get compared to, I don't respect. I do think they bottom feed. I do think they sell the dream. I'm very proud of the practical nature of my advice. Yep. I don't sugarcoat it. I'm not trying to monetize my audience directly by selling them something that's not obtainable. I believe in self-awareness, but most of all, I believe in my legacy, which is what corrects my behavior, even though I have the bullshit, manipulation, marketing capabilities to really do anything. Yeah. I mean, I think...
if I may quote,
please.
I could go outside and sell rocks and make $100 grand, which absolutely is the truth. Yeah.
That's right. So I think that's me a little bit in a nutshell. I do think I'm one of the best public speakers in the world, and you're going to get to see that. I do think that I'm a great operator, and I do think I see around corners because I watch only one thing: consumer behavior. The reason I'm a good speaker is because if it doesn't start off right, I curse. I curse. They didn't like it. It's over. Yeah. I curse. They love it. It's more will come until they feel too much. I say something. They don't react well. I maneuver, and so that's how I speak. That's how I interact, that's how I sell, that's how I do everything. And I think that my EQ, my empathy, my self-awareness, my intangibles outside of my IQ are the things I rely on. I'm very comfortable betting on them. I punt a lot of other things. I'm very big picture. I don't micromanage. I like to outsource. I like to have a lot of people being 80%, 60%, 39% capable of me doing those tasks because it lets me do 100% of what I do. And that's why I built 2 businesses so quickly at scale in very competitive places. And so I'm proud of that.
All right, so as you can see how enthusiastic I am just to be in the room with the guy. He's unbelievable. Now, I asked Gary a question about his book, The Thank You Economy, and you have a look at the live demonstration he showed us of how a business should be living, breathing, and existing in this new economy that he describes. Let me throw to this little example that Gary did.
Technology has allowed us to know more about each other, and you should exploit that information to give to people, to then have the leverage to receive from people. I can go on Twitter right now and search anything I want. And when I see people say that I'm cool, or that I'm a good guy, or that they love snacks, then I can send them those snacks. As a matter of fact, watch this. You know what? Watch this. We're gonna do this right now. This is what I believe in more than anything on earth. Right now I'm gonna go to Twitter, where everybody's talking about my book right now. It's coming up. Everyone's really excited about it, right? And we're just gonna look, right? And Gary, what's your favorite song? Shout out to the team on Periscope. Let's do this. Let's search.
Can you get the other one?
Let's search. And I'm not sure if you're capturing this on your film here, but I know you guys can see it there. Yeah. What I'm doing right now is I'm searching Gary V, which is my username, and book, right? So I'm searching it. And what's going to come up is people talking about it, right? Let's see. When's the book being released, right? Now I'm going to make a video. Clicking video, reversing on my face. Benny, the book is coming out on March 8th. And what I've decided to do right now is surprise you. And I'm going to send you a signed galley right now. Reply on Twitter and say, yay, and with your address, and I will send you this signed copy. Congrats. That's it. And I believe in that the most.
So as you can hear, live from New York, having just left those offices of VaynerMedia, you can see why I'm so excited, so surreal. I mean, I literally have just met the guy who is, as I said in that little interview there, he over-delivers and over-rates on everything that I pride myself on being good at. The hustle, the skill, the marketing savvy, the currentness. I try and stay ahead of the curve, but boy, oh boy, in every way, Gary is that, and then some again. So now I wanted to just introduce you a little bit to the opportunity that we're presented with right now. I mean, Gary has a unique perspective on this place, this time right now, and how many people are seeing it as a challenge. Let me throw this to Gary and get his perspective on how he sees this challenge of all of this noise, all of this change, all of this speed with which we have to do business in a new way. Let me get Gary's take. Is this really a challenge, or is it an opportunity?
My friends, this is the second industrial revolution. I just want you to know, especially for the 20 and 30-year-olds in this crowd, because I, as a 40-year-old, soon in November, in a month, holy crap, shit. And the people that are older than me, we didn't get as lucky as you did. This is the generation. This is the sweet spot. This is the land grab. This is what happens. Everybody's got their own generations and their own great things and their own bad things. If you just want to talk about entrepreneurship, if you just want to talk about having an at-bat to build something for yourself that you own and do something that you like, this is better than 1987. This is better than 1974. This is better than 1963. And the one thing that I ask you to do is to not look back and regret that you wavered on the moment that was available to you. The only thing that's not fun, the only thing you regret is the things that you don't do. It's just the way it is. Even if you think of random dumb stuff, like not asking out that person in high school or stuff, this stuff lingers. It's the stuff that you don't do that bothers you. And so for the purebred entrepreneurs in here that haven't decided to make that leap or take that at bat, I implore you to do so right away, because this window closes too. It's just supply and demand. As you get more and more entrepreneurs and as more and more people do it, more and more at-bats fall off the stream. It was a lot easier to start social media sites in 2003, 4, 5, 6, and 7 than there is now, because 9,000 photo social apps hit the App Store every day. And so, if you hear that and you hear the last little part of my rant, which is know yourself, I'm trying to point you in a direction of where the opportunity is, because there's so much white space still available to build in businesses, yet people are really attracted to the $1 or $2 billion exits, and they think they need to. Guys, for every Instagram, there's 80,000 Insta shits. So everybody's chasing these unicorns, these once in a lifetime. Do you know how phenomenal it sounds to your grandparents if you told them that you built a business that you own, that you run, that you like doing, and you make $200,000 a year? Do you know what kind of nirvana that actually is in the scheme of things? And so we are not grounding this entrepreneurial startup conversation in the right thing. We're grounding it in these headlines of the 5 or 6 things, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Uber, and we're not talking about the tens of thousands of opportunities there are if you actually take a step back, understand what's happening, try to build something around your pain point. Like, your pain point might be your 3 kids piss you off all the time. Like, that's a real pain point, right? Like, I don't know, create an Uber for like babysitters. Like there is so many ways to build businesses, and if you just sit back right now and think about how much money you make, double that amount, and then think about being able to do something on your own terms, now all of a sudden you've grounded yourself in a totally different conversation than this weird need to like be the next Zucks, right? Or like change the world or things of that nature. And so I'm looking for practicality. I'm looking for real practicality, because practical business building has never been easier.
So as you can see, Gary is there saying, it's a real opportunity, and I love how he says for every one Instagram, there's 80,000 Insta shits. I love how that's amazing. Now he did mention our grandparents there and how they would be proud if we were just doing pretty good, But I've had a lot of people come to me over the years wondering if this is a young man or a young woman's game. Do the youth have an instant advantage over us in these media? Because primarily it's the youth that start using these things. It was the kids that started using Facebook, then all the oldies did. The kids that started using Instagram, then all us, jumped on board. The kids that started using the Snapchats and all of that. And then, it always starts with the kids. So people think that the kids have an instant advantage. These young, what do they call them, millennials or whatever we might call them. What can us Gen Xers, boomers, and all of that sort of thing, what can we learn? Is this a young man's game? Let's get Gary's take on that.
Rant video was reverse engineered. I just knew that people would want to watch it. And that's what I also think is gonna happen here.
Basically, I want this film to give you the audacity to actually go out and do it.
You're 52 years old, and it's not being talked about enough that, hey man, hey gal, it's not over. If you want it so bad, if it's in you, maybe it's not time to take up golf or, pack it in. Maybe it's time to actually triple down and really focus on your 7 p.m. to 2 in the morning. There's so many people that truly are good entrepreneurs or have entrepreneurial DNA, but they just weren't lucky enough to be born during an era that seemed practical. It's just so, it's hard for somebody who's for 30 years gone a certain blueprint to understand that this is that realistic, and they feel like it's a young man's sport, and it's just not. It's just not. It's, if you've got the right DNA and you're a 72-year-old female, you have just as good of a bat as a 27-year-old dude. But you've been trained and story told to and positioned and lived in a 50-year manner that doesn't feel like this thing in here is a practical way to build that, but it is. Entrepreneurship is not predicated on taking away from your family. Entrepreneurship is from taking away from everything else. So stop making excuses. Oh, these millennial kids are so entitled. Oh, these kids didn't have to work as hard as we did. Nobody cares if you're 40, 70, 90, alien, female, male, minority. The market will accept your victories if you're good enough to have a victory. And I believe more than ever that if you're a 49-year-old housewife with 2 kids, because of this phone, you've got more opportunities to create something for yourselves. Please, my friends, do not allow just the 18 and 14 and 22-year-olds to grab at this pie that is so available to all of us, regardless of our age. We're gonna live longer. The opportunity is real. For the 58-year-old right now that's watching this, you're gonna live another 40 years. 40 years of being able to do something you love is a big deal. Start putting in the work. Start recognizing this isn't just a young person's game. Start representing
Start representing the people that actually put in the work, the gray hairs, that context, that knowledge. Start deploying that. Educate yourself on the new world. Yes, you didn't grow up with Instagram. You didn't grow up driving, and you learned that. Stop making excuses. Start getting educated in the actual world and start opening up the opportunities. In my true opinion, you are actually more likely to be successful in building a company at 45, 50 today than the 18-year-olds that are coming out because there's a naivete, a lack of experience. You have experience. You have experience. Like, that's a real thing. Like, cool. Like, youth and excitement is great. You have actual business experience. There's a plenty amount of talent. There's plenty amount of talent. And there's a ton of fire and bravado. And there's a confidence. There's a confidence that youth provides. But the difference between me and so many of you is I've put in the goddamn work to learn where people's attention now is, and I'm deploying myself through there. Many of you have drawn a line in the sand and say, I'm not downloading Snapchat. I'm not downloading Instagram. And that, my friends, is gonna allow you to lose. This video is made for one reason. I want it to be the calling card, the seed of the explosion of the 40 to 80-year-old entrepreneur in our society. The fire I see in the eyes of a 19, 20, 25-year-old that feels that they're entitled to this, and then on the flip side, the diminishing, just a little bit of ashes with a little smoke left of that same entrepreneur when they were 22, at 46, when practicality and family dynamics and the history and the market tearing down and the lack of that same opportunity has just dwindled down to a moment where they don't believe that they've got that shot. And I'm here to tell you, you absolutely do. I mean, there are absolutely a ton of entrepreneurs that started their companies in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s when it was difficult to do such a thing. Sidney Frank, who created Grey Goose, didn't invent his big thing until in the 70s. And so I'm desperate to give you the springboard to say, you know what? Instead of watching House of Cards seasons, instead of trying to go to ball games or things of that nature, yeah, I do have 7 p.m. till 2 in the morning, Monday through Friday. Heck, for a lot of you, the kids are out of the house. I mean, let's get into the practicality for the late 40s, 50s, 60-year-olds that are watching this right now. The kids are out of the house. Like, yeah, you could pick up golf, or you could finally start that candle company because you put pretty pictures of candles on Instagram and it happens. Learn the craft. Figure out the opportunity at hand, go attack it. You only live once. When you're 90 to 100 years old and you're regretting that you never built this business and you let this era pass, this moment where there's so much entrepreneurial upside, you'll regret it, and regret is the worst. I mean, that's what it is. At least the way I see it. Like, I got home at midnight last night. And every fucking night. Like, it's just real. Like, just, man, I don't have to. So, I don't know. I think there's a real opportunity to inspire a generation that so deserves it. Like, I almost feel like that's being 40. I feel like I'm caught right in the middle. Like, I have so much empathy for. I recognize how insane I had to be to like. I mean, you can't even imagine how not practical being an entrepreneur was when I was your guys, like when I was half your age, like in school, like a 15-year-old now in school that's getting D's, but is like selling shit on the internet. Everyone's like, oh, there's our you're the next Mark Zuckerberg. And mine was like, yo, you're the next piece of shit. Like it's so insanely different.
So as you can see, this isn't a young man's game only. We have an opportunity to embrace this stuff and crush it, name of Gary's first book, in the same way that they are. The thing is, young Caleb Maddox actually said to me, the way to get used to something is to use something. I'm getting lessons from a 14-year-old now, so I tell you what, there's certainly something to be taken out from that. It ain't too late for us. We have a shot too. Now let me throw you to this. This is the last thing I wanted to just share with you, one of the last big lessons I've gotten from Gary. And it's about how we often aren't marketing in the year we live in. And I absolutely see this in the industry that I work in. Let me throw to that because, well, I mean, what he's saying really is, are we marketing using media, using techniques, using strategies and skills that worked in 1999 or even earlier, that worked in 2000 that might not be as effective today for no other reason than eyeballs aren't where they used to be. People's attention isn't where it used to be. Let's throw to Gary and get his take on marketing in the year we actually live in.
There is a fundamental reason why big companies go out of business, because they don't market and execute in the world we live in. What they don't understand is the risk reward. The risk reward. Let me explain to you. While everybody sits around and says, well, I don't want to invest my time or money into Snapchat a year or two ago, I'm jumping in there and trying to figure it out. They wait while everybody else innovates and executes and takes their business. Blockbuster didn't have the data to tell them why to buy Netflix for $40 million 8 years ago. That put them out of business. You're saying it's risky to put your time and money into Snapchat in case it disappears. I implore you to start taking these channels seriously. Instagram got 50 million users. 50 million users in 1.6 years. I say it's risky to not jump in there in case it explodes. 99% of the people in this room do not market in the year that we actually live in. If you are not in full pledge effort of storytelling on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram at this moment, you are borderline not relevant to what's about to happen in the next 24 months. That's period. For example, when I was buying Google AdWords in 2000, 2001, when I bought the word wine for 10 cents, that was a good deal. You're talking about a $14 word right now. Most people aren't executing on so many different variables, they can't show the ROI. Look, I get it. You want to show the ROI of your Instagram campaign and you've got somebody disciplined above you that doesn't know how to quantify it, and you walk in and say, hey, we did really well this month. We got 1,700 hearts. That's a tough thing to sell through. I respect that. So the question becomes, while everybody was debating, is this Google AdWords thing really sell? Is this a good thing? Where are our eyeballs and ears going? That to me is the thing that I'm completely obsessed with right now. Where are we spending our time? I'm racking up the returns on that inexpensive cost that later turns out to be obvious to the market. When the market becomes aware and smart about it, it dilutes. That's basically the way I think about marketing, which is why in 2007, nobody even knows what Twitter is, and I'm using it daily, engaging with people. By the time people figure out in 2010, 11, 12, 13 that it matters, I'm amassing my hundreds of thousands of followers, which was easier then, so the game continues to change. This is classic offense versus defense. Most of you are on defense. I am always on the offense.
So you can see why I'm so pumped to have just been hanging out with Gary Vaynerchuk for the day, to be filming, to seeing his offices and how they work, and to hope some of that genius rubs off a little bit, please. And why I'm so excited to be bringing him down to Australia and sharing him with you guys, how good he is sharing him with you guys. And yeah, so I've been on to bring you this tribute video. I do urge you, here's the other amazing thing about Gary, based on his book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, and what that means is just give, just give, just give, just give before you ask for anything in return. He gives away all of these trainings for free. You know, so if you go to YouTube, you can sign up to his channel and you can get like literally hours and hours of content, of trainings on these things, and you can get it for free. So I urge you to do that. I urge you to, if you're seeing this before the event, do come along and spend some time with Gary. You will not be sorry that you did. And but again, until next time, there's another episode of the GT Show in the can, live from New York City. Hope that's been of some help for you. Big shout out to my man Gary. Thank you for the inspiration today. Until next time, folks. Bye for now.